Hey everybody, welcome back to Ginger and Chocolate. My name is Mike. I'm here with my co-host Lindsay. Lindsay, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I am just waking up as usual. I got my cup. I
Nice.
have my cup of coffee here. So as we go through the episode, I will become more and more awake and animated.
Sounds good. Yeah, I've been up for a couple hours now, so I'm as awake as I'm gonna be, I think.
So, sorry. So, how is your training going for in general for life and also
Yeah,
for your marathon?
it's coming along, and I was just on vacation last week up in Sun River, Oregon, and got a
Mm,
couple runs in there.
nice.
Um, yeah, it felt good. And then I felt even better because I didn't know until I was leaving that it's at elevation. So it's about 4,000 feet. Isn't too much, but
Yeah.
had especially a nice 4 mile run that just felt good. And so the training's coming along well. And I'm lifting, I'm running. And yeah, I'm in a couple of days, I'm going to sign up for a half Ironman in Oceanside.
What?
Yeah, so I might be back in the triathlon scene. So we'll see.
Holy crap, Iron Man is coming back.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. How about you, Lindsay? How's your training coming? How's everything coming along?
Well, I'm super excited because my gravel camp trip is almost here. I leave on Saturday. Woohoo! I'm so
Nice.
excited. Oh my gosh. And so I've been riding a lot and just had this 4-day weekend where I rode most days. I did strength. One of the days I did strength and focused on that. But I think the training's coming along. I haven't been on my bike for as many miles, the gravel bike, as some of the days are. So on the
Mm-hmm.
trip, so we'll see what happens. But it's different on a trip because you don't have work or anything else kind of hanging over you. I find,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
just being out there and just having a good time. It's like, oh, we just did 45 miles on the gravel bike, like piece of cake.
Yeah.
Um, so whereas at home, you're kind of like, okay, well, it's like 2 o'clock. I got to get back home. What am I doing? So yeah, it's coming along. I'm super excited. I'm not going to do much this week leading up to it because I'm working and
Mm-hmm.
trying to get everything settled. And but I am going to get on my bike a little bit. No strength. I will say this: the strength training has been hurting my knees. There's a
Mm.
lot of squats, gobble squats, jump squats, various types of squats, and some of
Uh-huh.
them don't hurt while I'm doing them necessarily, but then I will have knee pain later. So I'm
Mm.
skipping the strength this week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably for the best. Well,
Hmm.
it's like a nice little taper before your camp.
Exactly. And this is not a I'm not trying to disparage Backroads. They have lovely tours, but this is not the kind of camp where you just go like 10 miles and then get in the van and everyone kind of goes to the next hotel and hangs out and eats food. That's not the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're out there uh, no matter what. Like if you want to sit in the van, you can sit in the van, but the van's not coming back until everyone's done with their
Yeah.
45 to 80 miles. And most of the people on the tour are avid cyclists. So training is a little bit necessary. So a taper might be a good idea, actually.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is more serious more for the serious cycler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I will say this. I don't think Josh listens to our podcast, to be honest, which is good, probably a little bit because I can talk about him. He won't know. Um, so he did not grow up camping the way that I did.
Mm-hmm.
And this is not camping, there's cabins, but it's an
Yeah.
old Boy Scout camp. So the cabins have like bunk beds in them. So we'll have our own cabin, but it'll be like 4 bunk beds in the cabin and with sleeping bags. It's not like he's more of a Four Seasons type of guy.
Ah, yeah.
And I did tell him, oh, it's cabins, it's kind of rustic, but I didn't quite get into the details of how rustic it is. So,
We afraid you're gonna scare him away from it.
Well, he's going to be stuck because he's going to be out in the mountains, you know, an
Well,
hour
once you
from
get
the
them there,
city.
yeah.
That's right. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to let him see it. Um, so we'll see how he's going to have a great time once he overcomes his shock at the cabin, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool.
It's
I'm
better to
excited
ask
for you.
forgiveness. Sometimes it's better to ask forgiveness than it is for permission.
Well, I think especially if you're giving someone a new experience,
Hmm.
get them there.
Yeah, he's gonna love it. He's gonna love it. But it'll be interesting to see. I was debating about pulling my my camera out and just recording walking into the cabin. If I do that, I'll share it with you privately, Mike.
Yes, that sounds good. That sounds good.
Yeah. So, how was your vacation? What did you guys do? Because I know it was 4th of July, and did you have the whole fam up with you and everything?
Uh huh. Yeah, a lot of bike riding, just on cruisers. You know, maybe the longest one we went on was like 7, 8 miles. Just cruising around, enjoying the scenery. It's up in the Sun Rivers, right near the Deschutes River, Central Oregon, and
Mm.
so it was really pretty. We did some whitewater rafting, did
Oh,
some bike riding, played around. Oh, my dog's driving. That's cool. Hey, and mostly just relaxed. Yeah, did July stuff, cooked out, ate watermelon. Um,
perfect.
yeah, it was nice. A lot of sleeping. It was good. I caught up in
Ah,
sleep, that's for sure.
that is that is great, and that's great for training. Sleeping
Hmm.
is. Hmm. Were there a lot of? Did you see a lot of cyclists and things up there?
Yeah, a lot of more mountain bikers.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of mountain biking up there. Saw a few road cyclists on the path, but I mean the path gets so clogged up with families bike riding that it's not ideal for
Ah,
serious cyclists.
got it. Got it. Cool. Well, what are we going to talk about today?
We are going to talk about flow state, what that is, how you get there, what the advantages of being in a flow state while you're training or racing,
Mm-hmm.
and just talk about the whole thing.
Mm. All right, that sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Um, I did look it up, and with my friend Gemini,
Mm-hmm.
we had a little we had a little discussion, me and Gemini, and you know, it was saying that in terms of like ultra and endurance sports, because of the component of not just the physical challenge, but the mental aspects of doing an
Mm-hmm.
endurance sport. Um,
Yeah.
that to thrive in these events, it's you need to deploy some psychological strategies like visualization. Whoa, what is that word? Visualization
It
and
is.
mindfulness to get into a flow state, and that it's as crucial to do that as it is to train physically.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So I think maybe it'd help if we define what a flow state is, at least according to Gemini.
Mhm.
So what I have here is a flow state, also known as being in the zone, is a mental state where a person is fully immersed and focused on an activity, experience a sense of energized focus, full involvement, and enjoyment in the process.
And have you experienced being in a flow state before?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit. The interesting thing is once you realize you're in a flow state, you're back out of it, right?
Right, right.
But yeah, I've been in flow states quite a bit with a lot of the training, especially running and cycling. I can get there in
Hmm.
swimming too if I'm doing distance.
Hmm. Hmm.
But more often than not, it's during a run.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about you?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And like you said, I'll only recognize that I've been in a flow state later after I've been in it.
Yeah.
Usually I'll go, oh, that was, an amazing run. I felt so good. Or um, I just felt connected with nature, usually, on a trail run. But I'll kind of recognize that during the run, I was really connected with my breath. That seems to be something that indicates to me that I'm in a flow state, is just sort of that connection with my my breathing, and and just this idea of sort of being present in the world around me. So for me, a flow state includes an example would be when I did Ironman Santa Rosa, and I shared this in my race report that I did on the podcast way back in
Mm-hmm.
2019. Um, I was riding through the all the vineyards, and
Yeah.
I was just pedaling, and I was alone. And you know, Ironman is a long race, and instead of thinking about how much further I had to go on the bike or how, if I'm in pain or this knee or whatever, I was just sort of feeling like the energy of being sober and how uh, these grapes that I was riding through were beautiful, and that this is something that used to take me down a really dark path. And now I was in here just sort of
Mm-hmm.
riding through this beautiful thing. And I felt very inspired by myself in that regard and motivated. And then there was this sort of overwhelming feeling of my stepfather who had passed recently, like his presence there. And he's just a really positive, or was just a very positive person. And I
Hmm.
can't even tell you how quickly I got through that part of the ride, because it just was like there and then it was done. And I feel like that
Wow.
was a big flow state for me. It was amazing. That's probably my favorite part of the race besides running down the finish chute.
Yes. That is awesome. I I I love the idea of being able to get into a flow state, especially in these longer races, because if you don't, it's a lot of suffering. It's a lot of time to be out there not where you want to be. Apparently, if one way not to be in a flow state is think about how far away you are from the finish line, especially in
hmm
a long race, right?
hmm Questioning your life choices. Why am I out here?
Yeah, yeah,
That kind
exactly.
of thing. Um, I can tell you, I was not in a flow state when I was having that panic attack out in the end of the Santa Cruz pier.
Oh
Swimming,
no,
swimming when I
yeah.
was freaking out. There was no flow state happening, and the difference is such a stark. It's such a stark difference between feeling panic and being like, I don't want to be here. What am I doing? This is stupid, and feeling like,
Mm-hmm.
whoa, this is just it's all good. It's amazing. I feel my body. I feel my breath. Um, so it's good. So if you're listening to the show and you are maybe a newer endurance athlete, or contemplating your first sort of long distance race of some sort, um, let's share how to get into a flow state. Some of the tools that you can use to get yourself into a flow state.
Yeah. Okay.
Alrighty.
Um, cou- couple of the ones that I have are getting into a rhythmic breath, and so breathing in such a
Mm-hmm.
pattern that you can become in sync with your breath. And then for me, it's with my steps too as I'm running. And
Mm-hmm.
I notice when I get into a flow state, I breathe the same way each time. I
Mm-hmm.
do a 3 count inhale, hold for 2, and then breathe out for 5 counts.
Oh, okay.
And then I count it out for a while, and then eventually it becomes just how I breathe, and I don't have
Mm.
to think about it.
Yeah.
And then I think one of the ways too that, and I don't know if it's a conscious thing or just kind of it needs some time to sort out, but when I get into flow states, it's when I stop resisting the discomfort of the exercise.
Uh huh.
So when I'm running and I'm like, oh, this is a little too fast, or this is too slow, or my legs are sore, or something, like those thoughts need to shake out first.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And when I finally just be like, okay, I'm here right now, and feel my feet, hitting the ground, feel my breath going through my body, then it happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Going back to the breath, one suggestion that I would have if you are someone who hasn't used the breath really effectively with your training is to, and you could just YouTube this, is to practice yogic breathing. So
Mm-hmm.
Mike mentioned it, breathing in for a 3 count and breathing, holding for a count and then breathing out. That's a that is something that people use for mindless meditation. Wow, I can't
Mindless.
speak today.
Oh, I tried
Mindful.
mindless meditation.
Oh my god, mindfulness, a meditation, and also for yogic breathing. So that's something that you could Google, and you can just try it on your own at home before you're even
Mm-hmm.
participating in whatever training activity, running, for example. And on the bike, I've used this type of breathing to when I'm climbing, because that's a time where it's very easy to focus on the suffering that is happening
Mm-hmm.
on the bike.
Yeah.
And how long is this hill? How steep is this hill? When is it going to be done? Um, I can't, you know, I can't generate any power. Blah blah blah. People passing you on the climb, for example, can throw me into a little bit of a like negative thinking. Um,
Uh-huh.
so doing that breathing on the bike, just for short periods of time, while I'm climbing or whatever, it does seem to help as well. But I've practiced that during my yoga teacher training. So I just think if you try to practice it outside of working out, it might be easier for you to then deploy it while you're working out.
That's exactly it. You got to practice beforehand and
Mm-hmm.
practice while they're doing it. And you can't think about getting in a flow state. You can't think about, am I in a flow state? Because then you're out of it, because then you're using your forebrain. And so
Yes.
it's an interesting concept, and it's hard to describe until you've been in it, and then you can
Mm-hmm.
kind of talk around it.
Mm-hmm.
The
You can't.
one thing, what's that?
I was just going to say you can't just be like activate flow state.
Yeah, I mean, maybe some super yogis can do that, but the rest of us mortals, uh, you know what? There's a couple things, that practical things about getting into a flow state that I've noticed with myself, besides the breathing. Well, a few things actually is having rituals. So, I'll listen to a couple warm up songs before I get on my bike or go out to run. And I will set my phone, if I'm bringing it to listen to music, I'll
Mm-hmm.
set my phone to do not disturb. So I'm not getting pinged. And because, checking to see a text message or an email or whatever notification you're getting will
Mm-hmm.
snap you right out of it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know what else? This is I don't know if this is just me, but I will get songs in my head sometimes when I wake up,
Yeah.
and I will get songs in my head that I'll stay there despite whatever I'm doing or listening to. And sometimes it'll be a song I enjoy. Sometimes it'll be a radio commercial that I hate.
Mm-hmm.
And the more I resist that it's there, the more that it nags at me.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember Iron Man, probably it was either 2018 or 19, Santa Rosa, and I had Let It Go, the song from Disney's Frozen, in my
Oh,
head.
good Lord.
Yeah, because my daughter was at the stage where she was dressing up as the Elsa the princess and singing that all the
Mm-hmm.
time, and so that was in my head. Although it's the exact opposite. It's not cold. There's no ice and snow around, and it's really hot, and I don't particularly like that song that much, but I had to fully just like, you know what, we're going to go with it, and started singing it in my head, kind of started singing it under my breath, and next thing I know, I was up Chalk Hill and back down the other side, and into that zone. I've even had it with there's this really annoying commercial, 1877 Cars for Kids.
Uh-huh. Oh my God. I was going to bring up the Cars for Kids ad. I swear to God, when you
That's
were done
hilarious.
talking, I was going to bring that up. That is the absolute worst friggin' song.
Oh yeah.
And it sticks. It really, oh God. Every time I hear it, if I see it come on, I immediately try to like mute the TV.
Oh, I jump right in. I jump right in the deep end, and I sing along with it because I've had that, in my head. Another year in Ironman Santa Rosa on the bike.
Oh God.
And for those unfamiliar with the Ironman, um, for people like me, it takes about 6 hours to do 112 miles.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have 6 hours to be in your thoughts
Mm-hmm.
or just venture into your subconscious and conscious mind
Yeah.
quite a bit. So that was a tough one until I finally leaned into it and I said, you know what, screw it. We just got to go into this.
Oh God, maybe I'll try that next time because I always am
Yeah.
like mute, 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 and then immediately, and then I've got it in my head for like 3 days, and I'm just upset. Hey, you know what? You just brought up something, which is on a race course, most race courses don't allow headphones for
Uh huh.
safety reasons,
Yeah.
and I love to train with music. I love it, and I have those. Oh gosh, I forgot what they're called, but they're headphones that basically don't go into your ears. They use the bone right in front of your ear
Mm-hmm.
to transmit the music so you can hear what else is happening. I have those and I have regular headphones depending on what I'm doing. And when I first started racing and I wasn't allowed to use headphones, it was really difficult for me because didn't have any practice just
Mm-hmm.
being me with me and my own thoughts.
Yeah.
And so I also recommend if you are like me and you just want to train with music, which is helpful with, you know, sort of distracting you from the
Mm-hmm.
pain and the thoughts of like, how long is this going to be?
Yeah.
It's all good, but maybe practice a little bit without that so that your time on the race course isn't your first time doing
Yes.
that. Yeah.
Solid advice because that's jarring when you don't have it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where my mind goes, and it goes into things I've been wondering about, things I've been pondering, um,
Mm-hmm.
and then with some gentle nudging, it can go back into my feet, into my breath.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a long time, 6 hours. For at least if we're talking about something like an Ironman,
Mm-hmm.
to just notice your breath. So
Yeah.
I'll usually have a playlist of songs in my head that I'll kind of sing, bounce back and forth in between.
That's cool. Is there
Hmm.
any Metallica? I know you just went to the Metallica concert.
Usually not in the longer races because that's good for me for lifting,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
but I can't sustain that energy for hours.
6 hours.
Yeah. 6 hours. I need something like, EDM or house music
Mm-hmm.
or
Yeah.
something, with just a steady beat.
Same. That's what I like
Hmm.
as well. Love that. I have a playlist of hip hop, which sometimes I can do that when I'm gravel riding because there's like short bursts of energy that you need to put in for like small climbs and stuff. But
Yeah.
I love the EDM just with a steady beat because that helps me get my breath and my, especially running, my breath and my stride sort of in line.
Yeah. Uh-huh. It's interesting, especially if I'm listening to music in another language, I stop trying to understand it and it just
Mm-hmm.
becomes part of the music. And then I'll jump into a flow state, usually a lot quicker than if I'm concentrating on the lyrics and what they mean.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That makes sense. When I first started, I couldn't do this now, but when I first started running with headphones, I would listen to audiobooks. I would listen to
Uh-huh.
like mystery books, and I don't do it now, uh, and I don't really know why I stopped. I think I stopped because I couldn't concentrate on the trails and also on the book. I would trip and
Yeah.
stuff because I'd be listening. Um, but one time I was listening to I love mysteries. I love mystery novels, and I ran way up in Huddard Park. So if you live on the peninsula, the Bay Area, you're probably familiar with Huddard Park and Woodside. It's a lovely place to run. And you can run all the way up to this road called Skyline, which kind of goes along the spine of this mountain. And so I was way up there. It was like a weekday. So there was no one around really. And this book got into a part where someone was being, stalked by the killer. And I suddenly was like, I'm scared to death and I'm out here by myself. Like I'm miles away from people. And that was one of the first times, being a newbie that I ran without headphones because I took them out because I was like, I need to hear when the
Yeah,
stalker is coming up on me, out of,
exactly.
I was terrified. You know, got back to the car much faster than I had intended out of fear. So
Yeah,
stupid.
I guess the topic really matters when you're out there by yourself. I've
Yeah.
listened to a lot of podcasts and audiobooks on the
Hmm.
bike, on the longer ones.
Yeah, podcasts are great. Just an idea, you
Hmm.
guys. You could listen to our podcast while you're out
Yeah.
there on the bike. Um, so, one of the tools that could be used to get into a flow state while you're working out is doing, again, some work in advance, and that would be visualization. Um,
Hmm.
and I did look up some tools and some information about visualization and how it works. Um, it talks about just so if you, I mean, I think everyone knows what visualization is, but it's mental imagery and it's the practice of rehearsing a skill, routine, or performance in one's mind, prior to doing it. Um, so for ultra athletes, it says it's more than just seeing. It involves engaging all the senses to create a vivid, multisensory experience of success. So if you
Hmm.
think about running, Mike mentioned the breath in your feet, but then also like, what are you seeing around you? What are you hearing? What are you smelling? And for trail running, I love to do visualization. I do it a lot, especially now because I want to get back to trail running and I haven't been able to successfully get my run back. So I am thinking about it quite a bit. And I can smell the redwoods and I can feel
Yes.
how trees drop all their leaves and their needles and stuff.
Hmm.
And so the ground becomes kind of softer and squishy a little bit. I can feel that. I can feel, running a little bit sometimes where the brush is a little bit closer to the trail and you kind of scrape along it. You've got your arms and things like that you feel while you're passing through past shrubberies. Um,
Yeah.
and I can feel also like the sweat because I sweat quite a bit. I'm a
Yes.
sweaty girl. Um, I can feel that. I can feel the hydration pack on my back. I can feel that I'm getting pretty sweaty. It feels good. It feels like I'm detoxing a little bit. Uh, and all of those, I can smell sunblock, which is one of my favorite. Sunblock is one of my favorite all time smells.
What? Really?
Yeah. Uh huh.
That's interesting.
It's because it
You're the
reminds
first
me of,
person to tell me that.
well, it reminds me of being out there doing something. It's like, oh,
Uh huh.
sunblock. I'm on my bike. I'm running. I'm doing,
Uh huh.
I'm swimming. So whenever I smell it, even if I smell it on some rando like person in the grocery store, I'm like, they probably think I'm
You go up and smell the back of their neck.
pretty much. I get kind of as close as I can without being weird. you know? So I can smell that. And I like to visualize success. So I like to
Mm,
visualize the routes that I go on regularly and when I have completed them, what success has looked like for me and felt like for me. Um, and Not only do I find it enjoyable to dream because I just like to dream about things that are positive,
uh-huh.
um, I do feel like it helps me perform better because I can see what's going to happen theoretically.
Yes.
You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? And more often than not, what I see is closer to what the reality is because I'm sort of creating that reality as I go through the actual um, event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's I like that visualization. It's when I visualize myself, it's I try to start with the technique, and let's take the run. I try to focus on how my foot strikes the ground, how it pushes back up, how I'm moving my hips, how I move my arms, how I'm keeping my spine and head upright, and how I'm breathing,
Mm-hmm.
and how it's almost like I'm continuing to run, and the world is a treadmill underneath me that it just keeps going by, and
Oh,
I'm just moving. I'm moving through it, and it's a neat feeling. But and I've also visualized what it looks like to be successful, and then
Mm-hmm.
to get into a flow state. From what I understand and I've experienced, you need to let go of outcomes,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
If
Yeah.
you have a time based outcome, um, you need to let
Mm.
go of that in the moment to achieve a flow state. You don't always have to be in a flow state, but
No. And you
yeah,
can't anyway,
no,
even
no,
if you
exactly.
wanted to. Yeah. And I think the visualization is good for sort of imagining what might trip you into a flow state. So for me,
Mm-hmm.
like the sensory experience, that's kind of the experience that I have when I'm in a flow state. I am not worried about my pace, my time, what's, you know, what is the next thing? Oh, I'm riding now. I'm going to have to run. Can I complete it? How do I, all the aches and pains or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. Um, if I visualize all the good, all the stuff that I love about the sport, and then just
Yes.
go do the workout and not try to really force that on there, but just to do it. Um, that's part of how I get into the flow state. And,
Yeah.
and I just said that I feel like I'm creating the reality that I visualize. I think what I mean is that that's sort of a subconscious thing that's happening. I'm not out there going, I'm going
Mm-hmm.
to create this reality that I saw in my mind. It's just sort of let it all go. And then here it kind of comes without me trying in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's exactly it. And I think if we're talking flow states, they seem to be easier to get into for endurance athletes in
Mm-hmm.
these longer base runs or long runs,
Mm-hmm.
or long rides. Because if you're doing intervals or you're doing things where you have to,
Mm.
look at your watch and notice and keep up with the time, not really going to happen.
Right. And, you know, that's not really the appropriate time for
No,
it. And that's not when you need it as a tool. I mean, I
no.
think the flow state is something that you should deploy as a tool to help you get through the part of the race or just the training that you're actually doing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
some of these, so this is interesting. Some of the positives or benefits of visualization um, are neural pathway activation. So
Uh-huh.
it says when you visualize, you stimulate the same brain regions that are active during the physical performance. So this strengthens and the neural pathways essentially pre-programming the brain for successful outcomes. And so that's why you can do the visualization and then let it go when you're doing the event because you're already pre-programmed for this if you've done the.
Oh yeah, Michael Phelps did this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of athletes have done this, but he's the most notable example. He'd play the tape, as his coach would say, and visualize every single stroke that he
Mm-hmm.
would have in the pool. And yeah, it builds the mind the same way training does.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, was he successful at all?
He got a few gold medals. Might have the record for the most for a man.
Maybe this works.
Yeah.
Um, so a couple of things it said in here was in terms of refining skills around visualization. Um, athletes can practice specific movements, which you discussed a little bit, thinking about running, hips, feet hitting the ground, that kind of thing. Um, and you can also, visualize like some of the timing things we talked about. You can visualize them to get a better outcome, but then you're not focused on the time necessarily while you're racing
Right.
or training. So, like, you can focus on in your visualization on pacing strategies or problem solving scenarios. So, like, navigating rough terrain or managing discomfort or some other technical difficulty that arises, like changing a tire, things like that, that could potentially come up and derail you. If you visualize those happening and how you're going to respond to those, your response will be um, more more successful.
Uh huh.
So not just saying like this is going to be great. I'm going to have a lovely flow state and I'm going to get to the finish line like boom, like that might happen. But
Yeah.
then also these things of like, what happens if I um, get to part of the trail that is incredibly rocky and steep and I can't run, and how am I going to get through that, and how am I going to come down the other side where it's also steep and there's shale and I'm slipping, you know, visualizing those things will help you um, be successful. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. The other part of the where visualization and flow state come together is the like I mentioned a little earlier. I don't think I gave any examples though. Was having rituals before you work out or before you
Yeah.
race. And so for my training runs, I'm trying to think what I did. I'd listen to the same song. I'd have a few songs of while I was doing some dynamic stretching,
Oh.
and it would be the same three songs, and they would tell my body that we're about to work out. And I think one of the things that we haven't talked about that's worth bringing up is that nervous energy that can come before a workout,
Mm-hmm.
where our body's like, oh, we got to do this. It's going to be uncomfortable. There's going to be
Mm-hmm.
discomfort. Can I do it? Is it going to be bad? How bad is it going to be? How long is it going to take? When's it going to be over? Once you start doing these rituals to get your body ready, it starts to get in the zone and
Mm-hmm.
get ready,
Yeah.
get ready
Yeah.
to work out and
Yeah.
and let go of any kind of fear, nervous energy, and just get ready.
Yeah.
So,
If you're
do
used
you
to
do
that,
certain things?
no, but I should. One of the things I do something
I'm sure you
negative.
do. You're just not aware of it.
Yeah. Well, and I need to work on reprogramming my brain, not just pre-programming, because I do have rituals and they're all around fear and discomfort. You know what I mean? Like you're just talking about,
Hmm.
it's like, oh no, what's going to happen? How long is this going to be? Am I going to, am I going to have a flat tire? Am I going to um, not be able to keep up with the people I'm riding with? Blah blah blah.
Hmm.
And if I think about it, that is part of my ritual. It's like I go through it every time before I get on the bike or before I run. I have all of these things I think about. And actually, before I swim as well, it's like,
Yeah.
which lane am I going to swim in today? Because I feel tired. I feel, and coming up with all of my excuses why my performance might not be as spectacular as I would like it to be, particularly in comparison to other people, is part
Yeah.
of my ritual. And yeah, it doesn't really serve me now that I'm thinking
I
about it.
I don't know. I don't know, Lindsay. I might even reframe that to say that if you can put it in the context of kind of purging yourself of all the doubts, just letting
Mm-hmm.
them go through because they're there, um,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and then that can be part of the ritual. I don't think that's a bad thing.
That's a really good way of reframing that, because I don't let any of these things keep me from doing it. I still go do
Uh
the
huh.
thing.
Yeah.
So it's just thoughts. Um, I'd like to have some positive thoughts as well.
Yeah. You can put
But
those in there, and that's another part leading. It's a good segue, Lindsay, into the other part of achieving a flow state and visualization is having positive sayings or mantras.
mm,
So, you could, for the run, it could be, light and fast, feel my
mm,
feet, or just like easy sayings that you can have.
mm-hmm,
Be my breath
mm,
and different things like that, where you can go through those while you're running or swimming or biking,
mm-hmm,
or beforehand, the things you say to yourself that you consciously put in there and do the same thing each time.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I like be here now. I use that mantra
Hmm.
a lot just in life in general. Um, if I bring myself back into right now, as opposed to what's happening in the future or what just happened,
Yeah.
I sucked on that climb and it was really hard and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And there's another climb coming up. If I'm here right now, it's like, well, right now I'm descending. Right now it's beautiful. Or right now I'm climbing and I can do all the things I talked about earlier. I can smell the trees. I can, feel the terrain underneath my
Uh
feet
huh.
or my bike. Um, so be here now is one of the mantras that I like to use.
A little
Um,
Ram Dass.
mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm a
it
fan.
works really well. Yeah,
It
it works.
does.
Yeah, it works very well. So you don't have to be a woo-woo person by any stretch of the imagination to use these kinds of mantras
No.
successfully. Um, so we've talked about mindfulness on this podcast quite a bit.
Hmm.
So we don't necessarily need to go deep into mindfulness, but one of the things that Gemini suggested helps get into a flow state is to practice mindfulness um, in advance of the workout. Uh, and by mindfulness, they just mean sort of um, mindfulness meditation. You could, if you aren't familiar with it, you could Google it, YouTube it. I recommend YouTube because you can have someone show you how to do it and go along with there. You can get a guided
Hmm.
meditation. Um, but a lot of mindfulness is about connecting with the breath.
Hmm.
And so it goes back to that yoga breathing we were talking about earlier. If you can practice a little mindfulness in advance, it will help you get back to be here now, connect with the breath, all of those things while you're working out.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and flow states are great, and mindfulness is great, and it's a goal, and it's a wonderful thing to achieve and be in, a flow state. And then I've had moments where I've enjoyed exploring my thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and seeing where they go. I get the most random shit will come up while I was racing or doing long runs or rides.
Uh-huh.
I think this is also during. I mean, it's a 6 hour bike ride, so many things came up during one of my
Uh-huh.
Ironman races, and I pondered for at least an hour, maybe two, if the movie The Wedding Singer still held up today. If I watched it again, I don't know why that came up. It did, and so
I
I
doubt it
thought
holds
about
up.
it. Yeah,
I
probably
sincerely
not.
doubt.
But that was one of the random things, and I enjoyed just like kind of having that thought trip, and that was
Mm-hmm.
fun too.
It's like where did this thought come up? I did have my ex-husband's mother pop up one time.
Uh huh.
And I was like, "Oh, hey, how are you?"
Yeah.
And it wasn't like a negative thing, it just was a thing and I hadn't thought about her for years and years. Um, so yeah, it can be a little random some of these
Uh
thoughts, but
huh.
they're not all bad necessarily. They're just, they just are what they are. And in fact, the the guy I interviewed not too long ago, Jeff McGregor, who was uh, running 100-mile races, he talked a little bit about um, the mental aspects of racing ultra. Running
Mm-hmm.
100 miles is you're gonna have thoughts. There's just it is what it is. And he talked about the thoughts going into a dark place and then coming back out. So the idea of like this too shall pass no matter where you
Yes.
are with your thoughts is that
Uh
it's
huh.
not going to stay the same, all the time for the entire length of the workout or the event.
That's
And I,
true.
mm-hmm,
That reminds me just about thoughts and what sustains you and what keeps you going is bringing it back to 2017, my first Ironman. I'm in Lake Sonoma swimming, and I'm starting to get a little overwhelmed at the distance.
mm-hmm,
My mind's starting to freak out. Like it's the first half mile of the swim, and my mind kept going, yeah, but after this, you still have 140 more miles. Yeah, but this is a long swim. You can't do this. And all these
mm-hmm,
doubts were coming up, and I was starting to breathe a little heavy. My yoga teacher, Perry, came up in my mind with
mm,
something he said quite often during when we'd be practicing yoga. He just said, let a steady breath be your guide. And he was like my Obi-Wan Kenobi. I tell him that.
yeah,
And that helped me get into that flow state for the race.
uh,
And just connecting with my breath. Just okay, if I can anchor myself in the breath, then I
mm-hmm,
can continue to go. I can do this as long as I can connect with my breath. And that became my mantra and my anchor. Let a steady breath be your guide.
mm-hmm,
And it doesn't have to be that, but it can be something like that where you anchor yourself as like, this is what I can do and this will sustain me.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I heard a inspirational speaker, and I totally just forgot her name. Mel.
Robbins.
Yes. Um, and she talks about the this thing that she developed when she was depressed and lost her job and blah blah blah, and that she started counting, just needed to get out of bed, just needed to move forward in life, and she started counting backwards from 5. And so 5 4 3 2 1, and that if you're doing that, you will move forward with the next thing. So say you're laying in bed and you are like, I don't want to get out of bed, I don't want to do
Uh
this.
huh.
If you're thinking I'm getting out, but I have to get out of bed or whatever. If you count 5 4 3 2 1, you'll just sit up and do it. So not 1 2 3 4 5, but 5 4 3 2 1. Um, and I have found that that's true for me when I don't want to do something, or I'm afraid of doing something,
Mm-hmm.
um, or whatever. I'm excited to do something, but I'm apprehensive. Counting back
Yes.
from 5. So I counted my strokes when I was swimming in Lake Sonoma as well. I counted my
Mm-hmm.
strokes backwards: 5 4 3 2 1, 5 4 3 2 1, 5 4 3 2 1. And I was breathing. I breathe usually every third stroke, but I was
Mm-hmm.
kind of breathing with my counting, and counting down 5 4 3 2 1 kept me from thinking in the negative, like, can I go this long? I could go 5 strokes. And when I hit that 1, it was like, well, I'm starting my strokes over. I could just go 5 more
Mm-hmm.
strokes. Um, and that, I don't know if it put me into a flow state as much as it just kind of put me into a state where I wasn't focusing on fear or negative thoughts or getting annoyed with people around me, because in
Mm-hmm.
Ironman in Santa Rosa, there's 2 laps. And so the really fast guys come around and swim over you.
Swim
So
up your butt and then push you away. Yeah, right. It's
they really
awful.
do. They really do. A guy just took his hand and just pushed me under the water, and I was like, hey, I'm a human being. I'm trying to breathe over here. Like, I
Oh
realized that you're
shit. Yeah.
actually, there was a guy who clearly, um, newer to the process, and uh, it had put him into a state of panic. And so I saw him off to the side, like hyperventilating and kind of just floating there. This is during Santa
Mm-hmm.
Rosa. Like, when I was breathing on my left, every time I breathed on my left for a little bit, I could see this guy. And I saw the paddleboard person start turning towards him. And so I just stopped for a second and was like, hey, you can float on your back and just try to breathe big, deep breaths, because they're coming. And you don't want them, you
Yeah.
don't want them to pull you out. You're good. You're all good. They swam over you, but they're gone, and
Yeah.
he was like, oh, okay. I don't know if he actually finished or not, but I was just like, just bring the breath down, because this paddleboard person, once they get over there, you're done. um, but it was from that swimming over, him, that
Yeah.
had put him into that panic mode of like, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I just was still doing my 5 4 3 2 1 as this guy was pushing me into the water. Um, and I was just like, oh, 5 4 3 2 1, under the water. Okay, now I'm back above the water again.
Oh yeah. I could deal with that, but I think that my worst swim, the one I did not like, or I liked the least, was when I did a half Ironman in China, and
I
the
remember that.
athletes there, a lot of them did not line up really with what their swim times would be. They just pushed their way to the front, and so you got a lot of
Uh,
slow swimmers you got to go by, and not just
mm-hmm,
slow swimmers. We had a lot of people who decided to do breaststroke
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
in an Ironman race, which is really fun when you're swimming with other people, because is if you get right behind someone before they do their kick, you can get kicked right in the face
Yep.
really hard.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Um, there was no flow state that day for me.
Now, if you see me, I usually do a little breaststroke during any triathlon.
Yeah.
And if you see me doing breaststroke, it's because I'm peeing. That's
Oh yeah.
I can't flutter kick and pee, but I always have to pee, and I try to pee before. This is so gross, but I try to pee before I get out of the water, because
Got
otherwise
to.
I used to stop like at the porta potty. like in transition, even on like an Olympic, I'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, do into the porta potty. And my coach was like, pee in your wetsuit, dude. Don't like get out and then go into the porta potty and transition. Like, what are you doing?
Exactly.
But I can't
Exactly.
flutter kick and pee. Can you flutter kick and pee?
No, I can just pull and then and pee. I feel like we can
Oh,
make this a whole episode: when to pee during triathlon and how.
never ever occurred to me to just pull and pee till you just said it.
You heard it here first, folks. Pull and pee.
I'm out here kicking people in the head and peeing on them, doing breaststroke.
Not only do they get kicked on, but they get pissed on.
Well, dang, I'm sorry if you were right behind me in any race. I apologize. Well, any last words on flow state, visualization, um, getting through an event or training?
No, I think we can revisit this, and I can think of a couple people I'd like to have on the show to talk a little more
Hmm.
about it.
Hmm.
And we can. I'm serious. We got to do an episode of when and how to pee during a triathlon.
That definitely needs to be part of one of our talks because I just learned something new after 15 years, you know? And
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, there's a lot of tricks to make your race faster, and along with peeing, I think topic would be transition, how to successfully
Hmm.
transition. I'm also not good at that, so I can use a lot of top tricks myself. So we'll
Yeah.
we'll have another episode about that. Um, but in the meantime, get out there. And I think what we've learned today is that to get into like a flow state or a state where you're just really one with your workout or, one with what you're doing in an event, um, pre like there's pre-workout stuff for you to do that's mental.
Hmm.
So like visualization in advance of the event, learning how to do yogic breathing or meditation in advance of the event. All of these things are going to help you have a better, more successful event, but they require that you train on them just the way that you train your body. So I think that's probably the
Yes.
biggest takeaway today.
Yeah, I agree. That is. Yeah.
Cool. All righty, folks. Well, thanks for listening as usual. And if there's one thing that you could do to help the show, it would be to share it. So whatever podcast app you're listening to us on, or if you're watching YouTube, please just send the link to one friend this week. If you do that, that would help the show immensely.
Hmm.
And we will see you next week.
All right. Take care, everyone.
Bye.